So, vlog number, I don't know what. The thing is, today I'm actually mentally preparing for a slaughter day tomorrow. It's gonna be from Vitosha Mountain to my Airbnb, which is 25 kilometers downhill. I'm not going uphill, I'm going uphill with the bus. The thing is also a little bit because over here in Bulgaria that would be my longest run, 25 kilometers. 25 kilometers, just a little bit to have some sort of an indication. A marathon, half a marathon is 21.5 kilometers. I did some research on it, and so the 25 kilometers, I think that is a nice round number, and I can put in the title half a marathon plus calisthenics. There are, I think, 2 calisthenic spots on the way back home, or home Airbnb. Anyway, now I'm not into a lot of nutritional stuff, but I start to look at it to keep a lot of to keep my body hydrated, because that is a little bit an element that I overlooked in the summer, especially, you know, until the 31st of August I did drink beer every single day. And the thing is, I did my runs 7 or 10, between 7 and 10 kilometers every day, and then afterwards I actually drank beer. Of course, it's not whiskey or vodka like in the old days, but you know, it's not really rehydration focused. So now I'm focused on this. So what else? This is a really summarized vlog about the events. When it's about learning new things, because I'm gonna cut a little bit into this topic, I was a little bit forced to upgrade my knowledge when it's about the server, because I'm using a VPS, a self-managed VPS, which means you need to take care of the updates, security patches, etc, etc. And to be very honest, I slacked on this for more than a year, so I had to do a lot of work on it. But what I learned from it is, when you learn something, you have to be patient but also persistent, because for me it was, you know, very tedious. I'm doing everything from the phone, but for this I stayed in the Airbnb to be more concentrated, not to get distracted from, you know, the nice things that I'm usually, you know, surrounded with. People, animals, the concrete jungle, you know, I'm always curious. So I stayed a lot in the home the past days, but I learned something from it, and maybe something to keep in mind. When you put in the effort, and especially in my case, when it's about learning, I never liked school, and the thing is, it was totally useless. But this is part of the process, you know. So I'm upgrading the servers, so it has purpose, you know. It's again a compounding. It has a compounding effect. And I can use the knowledge later again, you know, when there's something wrong with the server. So like everything in my life, everything also what I'm owning has multiple functions. I will make once a video about this, because I am really living growth focused only. And I'm not saying this to brag, but you know, I'm trying to inspire people, maybe also share things in my vlogs that make people think. And that, you know, I'm also gonna say this, you know, in the past when I had offline businesses, I also had cars and all that kind of stuff, but everything is so temporary, and I'm now really focused on that. Everything what I'm doing, when it's about taking actions, they always have value. That's why I cut out all my vices. There is nothing that I'm actually doing for entertainment, and I'm very honest about it. And the thing is, I live over here in my mind. I'm in in a very peaceful state of mind. Also, I know I am ruthless when it's about destroying myself, and I want to level this up. So maybe that's a nice thing to mention, maybe to also to motivate some people. And the thing is, what I always say, there's not one single person on the planet that you maybe want to be, but like I always like to look at people who have incredibly leveled up specific characteristic that I want to implement in mine. So for example, when it's about my running addiction that gets only more and more, you know, I'm looking at this Goggins guy. I never mention names for obvious reasons, you know, I don't want to, you know, clickbait stuff, but when it's about the extreme runners, yeah, you know, when I think about a 25 kilometer, you know, I looked at one thing of his, a 200-mile race, you know, that is somewhere that is totally, and it's inspiring. Do I have this you know, this in me that I think that I want to do 200 miles, which is 300 something kilometers. I think it's more than 350 kilometers. At the moment, I would say I'm not physically capable of it. That is the truth. What I do want, and I have this urge, I have this feeling, I want to do the 100 kilometers. That is what I want to do. I have this urge, which I will do before I step into my grave. That is a non-negotiable thing. Over 300 kilometers one race, then I need to have a very good reason. And also I thought about this. Well, when I would do, also with the 100 kilometer, I want to run for some charity thing. You know, I already mentioned this before to multiple companies, by the way. And the thing is, it has to be more extreme. So when I would do a 300 plus kilometers, I would, you know, make sure that somehow it gets monetized and then the money goes to charity or something. That there is a higher purpose besides slaughtering myself. So yeah, that is about the running. When it's about the website, let's take a little bit about upgrading my knowledge. When it's about server maintenance, obviously I'm not a technician, but I'm gonna tell you this, the AI thing helped me a lot. Without AI, and I'm using Gemini, I have my personal not objections, but my personal motivation to use only Gemini for multiple reasons. One of them is, I think, you know, it's from Google, and we all know how much Google, how much data every day they collected over the past decades, and that's implemented in this Gemini chat, Gemini Advanced. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's so amazing what it can do. And like I said, in Mother Vlogs, it can also be integrated with Make.com. I use Make.com to automate a lot of processes. Now, when it's about the website DotcomBaron.com, I'm gonna give away all the strategies. So if you want to escape your 9 to 5, and I'm not selling a course over here, you know, like people who sell memberships, multi-millionaires, they sell memberships for $50, blah blah blah. I dove a little bit into it, very nice, but the amount of people that really succeed, those people would have already succeeded anyways. And that is what I mentioned this before, you know, people who are eager to do something, they will do something. They're born like this, and the only thing that sometimes they need is a little bit of fire to lit it up. And of course, and those multi-millionaires, which I actually don't understand, if you have more than 100 million, why do you need to drag out? Of course, there are people who would say, yeah, if I got 1,000 people and I can get every month an extra 50,000, yes. My purpose is different, and I'm going to be very transparent about this. The thing is, I'm trying to avoid people, by the way. The thing is, when it's about my giving away of the strategies, is that people start using them, set themselves free from slavery. Once they start generating money and or actually claiming their freedom, start working on their physique, then maybe I will have a new partner that already has been built has built himself or herself. That's my only purpose. Is that my only purpose? That's not true, Dollar. First of all, if people would be way much happier and living a life that they can actually decide whether they're gonna get up or not. Now they have to go to ask their master if they can get on holiday. You have to ask, because you work for a master. And if, like I said, people free, that would be nice. You're anyway using the mobile, why not implementing one of the strategies? To get started only takes you 1 hour a day. Everybody has 1 hour a day. If you say that you're not, then you got anyways a problem. And again, then it's not meant for you in any kind of form. You would also not even shouldn't even think about, you know, starting businesses. You know, there are so many people who come to me. They say, yeah, I want to start a business because my job, this and this and that. There's so many levels or things that people don't mention. You know, don't say that you start a business. What do you see? I mentioned this, I think 2 vlogs ago. I don't know. Yeah, when I did a 10-kilometer run and 6 calisthenic spots, I talked about one guy, and I also said, what are you gonna do? Be self-employed, get a loan from the bank, and then the bank is your master, and you become the master of yourself, and you have to go to be on the location of your business. And also when you take a business partner, you know, I started also with business partners. You know, there's always there should be one captain, maybe some under captains, generals, but there should be only one captain of the whole ship, not more. Because there is always something. You think that you work more, the other people do less, etc, etc. Not only this, there's way much more. So when people start talking about business, what did you actually prepare? Why do you even mention it to other people, by the way? You know, if you don't have a plan in place. Just say I want freedom, but I don't know how. See, clear. One sentence, without making things complicated. And this is the thing, especially when people are above, and I think any age, but let's say above 40, no, also above 20. Don't waste any time, you know, because if you start saying, yeah, I want to start a business, okay, great, well, what kind of direction? And my strategies are so easy to get started, but also along the way you're capable to find out what you're actually really gonna be enthusiastic. Not only enthusiastic, but really that you cannot sleep at night. You know, you want to find a purpose in life, not something that drags you. Okay, now I have to do this. You know, people ask me, you know, how is it possible that you sleep so less and you do all that kind of stuff? Well, simply because I'm very enthusiasm, I always say, right? It's just a normal people emotion, so it's a temporary thing. So how I would say, I live a purposeful life. That's what I would like to say. And of course, every day I still grow. Every day, I think if you look from my first vlog until this vlog, you will see somehow somewhat growth. And the thing is, when it's about showing things to the world, I take my time, because I know I'm gonna do thousands and thousands of vlogs and videos more, so I'm not in a hurry to show you everything. And the people who are opening their eyes and maybe listen to what I'm saying, they understand this is a marathon, not a sprint. There are a lot of anabolics guys, you know, and they have millions of followers. And the thing is, trust me, many times I had times before I started actually doing the videos thing, I thought, what if I put the needle in my ass, you know? But I want that my vlogs are authentic, real, have this marathon endurance, how do you say, character, and that all my videos you can start see at once you start watching maybe up to 5 vlogs, or maybe the shorts, then you will see life is not one-way direction. you know, e-commerce store, this and this, millionaire, blom. There are coming a lot of things on your path that you should be very careful of, and especially when you go outside the box, especially. And you know what I always say, I lived a very colorful life, always totally all over the top, and that cost me 3 times pretty much everything in my life. But you know what, I never say anything to get some kind of shoulder knocks, or you know, or what's so sad. No, I'm just saying those things so you understand I've been there, done that, and that's why I can and actually should share, because it will save you time, heartbreak, money break, is that a word? Money loss, and of course a lot of time loss. You can prevent, so that's why I'm also constantly mentioning the red flags of people, the characteristics. And I'm never saying things, oh, that is so bad, bad people. No, I'm not saying this, but those characteristics that I'm mentioning in my vlogs don't fit into a life of a person that is growth focused. And also next to that is interested in human beings. See, you can be focused on money, be a rich guy and look down on everybody. Great. Never underestimate that authenticity and humbleness, and you know, treating people with respect comes with way much more fulfillment. And why would you have the need, why is it necessary to feel fulfilled at the end of the day? Well, no matter who are you, no matter with who you are connecting, your spouse, your wife, or your husband, you close your eyes alone. You are taking a shower alone, you shave yourself or whatever alone, and those are the times that you want to feel the same as you do around other people. Because when people are alone, and I use this as a strategy when I meet new people, I'm always 30 minutes, sometimes earlier, that I can see when they walk into the place, because that reveals everything. When people walk alone, people in groups, you cannot see anything. What I would actually extract from people who walk in groups or constantly hang around with a girlfriend or boyfriend, they need other people to, and that's also something. They're not there yet. They're not also not in the growth game. If you always have to need people around you, been there, done that. So I can say this from experience. Like I said in the past, I held a lot of people around me. Definitely should not. Okay, this is not the classic expression like, oh, if I knew that in the past I would have done that. No, I learned from it, but I would say now you have to cut out people. And at the moment I'm very relentless about this, because this is my life, and my life is, as long as it lasts, I'm over here to serve and try to set people free from slavery by giving everything away for free. And in the end, if I can get a new business partner, or this is also what I thought about, if it really starts rolling, because I'm the living proof that's possible. Because if you look at my vlogs, I never complain about my boss, or I never complain about having to go to the office again, or my place of business. You know, I had those places of businesses and other kind of things that I was actually self-employed, and then, you know, you slave away, and that's something you don't want. And I can tell you again from experience, everything that I'm saying. Oh, this is a very colorful beetle. Look at this. Oh, hello. Anyway, but you know, for you, the person who's watching, you're anyway already using your phone, probably a few hours a day. What if you just start with only 15 minutes? Go to my website, which is still under construction at the moment when I'm saying this. The date is today, the 4th of September. So it's still under construction. And if you watch this video 5 years later, then it's already online. And then I have thousands of people. It works. You know, it works. And if you just replace first 15 minutes of this 3 hours mindless scrolling, you try some. and then you try again. Maybe you fail in those 15 minutes and you think your whole life is going to hell. And on my website, as I explained before, I'm placing unlisted YouTube videos on the blog posts, so you can watch the videos, and if there's some tool that you can get for free, I give everything for free. Also Google Sheets, Google Docs with working structures and everything. Then the only thing that I ask over there is that you unlock it by just sharing it or like it. You know, those content lockers. And I'm very honest about it. That's the only price I'm asking for your probably new direction of your life. Big price to pay? I don't think so. I don't think that's a big price. You do me a favor while I'm doing you a favor, and in the meantime, I think the balance of value is pretty equal, because I want to get more eyes on my content. Very honest about it. And you will get access to working structures, because this is another thing, right? Working structures are incredibly important, and you know, we're not gonna put it as official as possible, SOPs. You know, people talk about, throw all kind of difficult business terms. No, I'm a simple man. Just working structures. Step 1, step 2, step 3, then do this. Think about stuff, figure it out. When it's about figuring out your purpose, I'm gonna say this. I shared this strategy with another person, and this is okay. Let's get first to the structure. If you don't know what you want to do, and it's not about I want more freedom or I want more money. No, you want to have some sort of an occupation that brings you money, but also keeps you awake at night, that you have to figure things out, right? And that you're so enthusiastic about it that, oh, I don't want to sleep. You know, maybe you remember that you were a kid and you played with a new toy. You couldn't stop playing with it until you fell asleep all over. In my case, it was with Lego, and then keep on building until and then it broke down, went totally freaking nuts. And then your parents tell you that you should actually go to bed, and then you get mad. See, that's what you want, that feeling. I had that feeling many times, and still, and now I do. Well, again, I'm 46, I'm almost 47. You know, I still have that feeling. When I actually think about it, I already go freaking nuts, eh? Because I'm using a lot make.com. You build scenarios to automate processes, and it's like a puzzle. And you know, I had also a long period in my life that I did a lot of puzzles. I was addicted to puzzles. Actually, everything what I did or do, I'm also going all in. If I'm not interested in something, I also don't want to. You know, school was always, you know, you go over there, oh, what are you gonna do? Teachers are constantly mad and telling you have to. Anyway, totally different topic. When it's about the website, maybe this vlog is more or less to promote a little bit my website. Free strategies, there's a lot of old content from before. Probably I'm also gonna put that on, maybe with a passport on it, password. So when people actually really get into that level that they want to read, you know, then I get the password. I'm thinking about it, because, you know, that's also something people are not into reading these days. When it's about reading, I have still a lot of books in Malta. I actually considering to give them away, because, you know, there's nothing, they're unused now. You know, they're not used by people who are hungry, you know, hungry to learn. You know, and I think that's a little bit of waste of possible opportunities for somebody else. So thinking about that as well. Anyway, I'm thinking about my words. Yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna do the long run. Actually enthusiastic about it. Also a little bit because I actually had this morning a talk, right? So for people who want to get into running, are a little bit, now let's use the word scared, you know, that I think, should I do it? I don't know if it's for me. What if it hurts? My knees already hurting, my ankles. But you know what? For me, I have probably way much more objections, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I know what's coming. I know, for example, the first 7 kilometers is freaking horrible. Always. Then after around the kilometer 10, I usually have a little bit that my feet and my legs, you know, they start to feel like sandbags. But you know, so that for me, I also know what's gonna happen the next day, especially around the 20 kilometers. Then the next day I do feel it in my legs. Then also I know the next day the calisthenics thing is also gonna be heavier. So you know, no matter what you do, you will always have so-called objections or reasons not to do something, right? And probably the reasons not to do something are the amount of reasons are probably way much more than the reason that you want to actually do it. And that's why you need a purpose. You need something, an occupation that provides you a life of freedom, so there's money coming in no matter what. You need money, and that you also really like it. Not that you don't like it, that it keeps you awake at night, you know. And then you're already way ahead of the people around you. And how do you get there? I'm giving away those strategies on my website. That's what I want for you. For the people who are watching up till now, or maybe watch one of the shorts when I'm saying this, I want you to figure out that thing that keeps you awake at night, but also brings you that income, and you can do everything from the phone. Well, how does that sound? And I'm giving everything away for free. I think that's a pretty good deal. And along the way, when you start making money and you know you want to upscale, you got questions, and then you can approach me and you say, hey Dal, listen, I got this and this running, this process running, I'm using this and this scenario of your website. How can I upscale it more? Or should I consider to go in this industry, that industry? You know, I can give you a lot of information. And not based upon sucking out of my things out of my thumb. And at one point, when you reach that kind of level, that I think, now this person has the attitude, has the hunger still to grow, we should work together. And that's what I want. I want to find business partners like this. Maybe not business partners, yeah, maybe joint ventures, maybe even very, very wealthy people that will contact me and they say, well, that sounds all very nice, let me fund you, or whatever. There are so many ways, that opportunities that I don't know about, that probably on the way. Am I bragging over here? No, I'm talking about possible opportunities by me building those fundamentals, you know, like the vlogging thing. The vlogs, they will keep on being on YouTube unless I start getting into very racist thing, or I don't know what, gender hate or any kind of hate. But I don't think that I'm saying anything negative. I just want to motivate people, but also showing people the way that when you reach, let's say, the 40 plus, or even closely 50, you know, within, let's say within 2 months I'm gonna be 47, and then after 3 years I'm gonna be 50. So maybe a lot of, let's say, 40 pluses who think, yeah, but I cannot do it anymore because I'm already so old. Well, look at me. I'm also gonna tell you, let's assume that you're a 40 pluser guy. At 41 I lost for the 3rd time everything. Just saying, I was you know, I had nights I was sitting on a freaking bench, and I have to stop with this word, freaking bench, and with one suitcase, and you know, hide for the wind and the rain sometimes, and then train on the calisthenics spots to stay warm. And for me, there are no people who would say, no, come and sleep on my couch, at least not over here. And also when you have those people, you know, like family and stuff, and you live in a very, you know, get a lot of quote-unquote friends, that is all temporarily, and at one point you cannot stay over there till you're back on your feet, you know. Sometimes you have to move on. Anyway, and sometimes it's also ego, you know. At one point I also said, you know, it's better for me to survive on the streets and make it happen. Yeah. Anyway, now I'm 46, almost 47. I took my time to build a very strong online foundation. I actually cleaned up a lot of garbage, rotten apple people from my fruit basket. So now I have very, very solid people that run and walk the extra 10, if necessary, the 100,000 miles / kilometers with me. And that's what you want also, you know, when you know, get free, you break free from this rat race that you perhaps in. Most people are in a rat race, but you know what it does? Yes, it gives you temporarily a relief. You can pay at the end of your month, your rent or whatever, you know. But you know, I see so many people very unhappy simply because they cannot be their genuine self, their real, and pull out the child in themselves, because they have to act like this. Their peers, they say, their colleagues, because otherwise what would little Timmy say, or whatever. Well, you know, I'm just mentioning a name, or Jane, I don't know. No, you should live a life that you actually love to live. And when you love your life, you can express this to the world and, you know, sprinkle a little bit, maybe temporarily happiness to a person that you don't even know. But you also don't expect anything back, but you can brighten up somebody else's day. How many people do this? Not a lot of people. I know, because I'm studying people for a long time. I'm doing this obsessively, you know. I'm so curious about other people, their characteristics, and always ask why. I'm never judgmental, and you know, when people come to me, a lot of strangers, they come to me and they saw some videos, and people ask me for advice, and there was once, no, multiple times, there are people that say, yeah, this maybe sounds a little bit crazy. I always say, if you're gonna say something that I would label as crazy, then it has to be really, really crazy. Really crazy. There are a couple of topics that I would bash straight away your face in, when it's about hitting women, hitting children, hitting animals. Next to that, there's besides that, there is nothing else that I would you know, be judgmental about. But the other things, yeah, I get physical. I am very honest about that. I would also never shake the hands or sit with people around the table who hit women. I did in the past, but I'm a big believer now in energy. People who are incapable of hitting women or children or anything, or disrespecting animals, there's ripple effects in your life, your character. And especially if you do this on a daily basis, you will listen how they speak, you know, the tonality. It goes into your system. You get you grab a couple of habits of them, and before you know, you're beating up women every single day. That sounds very extreme, but you don't want this. At least not me. I'm not even eating on the same table. I was staying in one hostel 3 years ago here in Bulgaria. There was one guy, he was choking out his girlfriend. I prevented that he would continue this. And the thing is, every time when he walked around, you know, I didn't want to sit with him on the table. I also not exchange a single word. And then he also, at one point, he got a little bit tough again, because, you know, he spoke perfect Bulgarian. I don't speak good Bulgarian. The thing is, I just walked away, I think, at that time, because otherwise, you know, we get to work. And as I always say, when we get to work, we never deliver half work. So yeah, now you understand. Anyway, negativity, no. Prosperity, yes. Sharing positivity, and yeah, that is actually my philosophy at the moment. I live by those rules. I live by the rule. I'm gonna share my rules probably on Instagram. I'm thinking how to do this, because I live by a set of extremely, I think they're pretty extreme, but I also live by them, and not pretend that I live by them. You won't see me do otherwise, you know, when I would walk alone, or, you know, I have to look around when nobody's watching, and then I do the total opposite. No, the same is about my vices, you know. As I told you, you know, until the 31st of August I drank every day beer. Am I an alcoholic? No, I wouldn't say that. The thing is, I get up every day at 5:15, and then between 4 and 7 daytime I took a break, and then I drink beer, meeting people. But I don't do those things anymore. I'm now increasing my runs, the endurance things, and I get so much more high on life because of that. And maybe, well, later on, after a couple of years, I'm gonna pick up my beer drinking a little bit. But at the moment I don't have any urge anymore. I got rid of the urges. And the same, I had also a little bit of period of smoking cigarettes. And when you have to get rid of some sort of habit, bad or good, again, without any judgment, you know, it needs to get out of your system. You become another person. You know, I talked about this before. For everybody there's another universe. In that universe where I was hanging around, that person was surrounded with beer, you know. And when I walked into the mini supermarket, you know, that person in that universe was also sees the packages of cigarettes. So, you know, there I said it before. When I was 30 and I lost everything for the first time, I said this multiple times to my ex. I said it feels like I just walked through a mirror world. So from having pretty much a lot to actually nothing. But I also learned a lot of positivity. And I'm taking now all the positive lessons from all the things that happened to me in the past. And that's a lot. And it's not happening to me, I let it happen. Because I also didn't have any boundaries when it's about emotional, mature, you know. I also talked about this before. But now I do, I think. And of course, every day I will do better. I will aim for that. I'm pushing myself. That's why I also pushed out, you know, the watching TV thing. One of the vices, you know, last year I did the last time a session. It was 35 minutes. And doesn't make me feel good. Everything that doesn't make me feel good, I don't do it. At the moment I'm also not in a long-term relationship, so I don't have to sit on the couch. But I also do believe at one point, you know, when I find that soulmate or a person, but you know, that person also is probably a little bit, you know, that extra energy. What I always very attracted to is people with higher level of energy, but also with a little bit more a colorful past. Because, yeah, you know, I'm very open-minded about everything. Very clear now at the moment. Boundaries. And yeah, not it's because I'm all that. No, the thing is, you have to protect your own life. Because we all have one. And no matter what, never perceive, let's say, if things make you feel bad, don't see it as something negative. Learn from it, don't do it again. But if you keep on doing it, yeah, then the joke is on you, right? 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Done. Been there, done that. I'm very honest about it. So that's why I'm trying to share this. I'm this old guy, this 46-year-old fart who shares something from his own life and tries to get you on the freedom horse. You know, get you on the freedom horse, so you can start really developing your own character, your own character that doesn't have to dance any single second to somebody else. Not one single second of the day your character needs to adapt to your master, to the teacher in front of you who said, if you don't do this, then you got a -5. The reason that he is a teacher, and I'm gonna tell you this is not to look down on teachers. I have teachers in my circle of people that I know. But come on, people. Teachers, they teach you something from a book that is probably older than a decade. And so I'm gonna give you one example. You know, once I was sitting also in a class when I was young. An economic guy comes on his slippers on a bicycle his hair fuzzy and everything, and then he gonna teach us about how to do bookkeeping. When you run a business, you take a bookkeeper, that's it, boom, done deal. I know also one guy, he did once one business, tried one business, failed. Now he's an economic teacher. What do you do when you fail in real life? Bam. Oh, darling, you cannot say this. I'm not against the school system, no. You know, if you're good at going to school, I would use it as networking. Try to filter out the people who do want to do with their life something more than the ordinary people. Or maybe you are really gonna focus on a job, yeah, I don't know. But then it's also not, then my vlogs are also not for you, that is for sure. Because, and then grow beer bellies and go to work, and maybe at one point you put in a needle in your back, you know, testosterone, look good, go to Turkey, put in some white teeth. I also had a conversation about the white teeth. I'm going to whiten my teeth at the dentist. I'm now a little bit in the restoration phase of my teeth. I slacked on this, but it's also because you know, when I was 41 I lost again everything, so a lot of things when it's about my teeth were slacking, and it's already in process. I got 3 cavities to go and then it's done, and then a little bit of whitening, already cleaned my teeth. Totally useless information, but this is the thing, huh? When you lose everything, see, for me there is no backup. And a lot of people, let's say it like this, you live in your own country, you would lose everything, yeah, maybe you're gonna sleep with your parents or whatever. But the thing is, in my case, there is nothing. There is nothing. Yeah, I had in that country where it happened the last time, and I will talk about it more, but the thing is, one guy, you know, I stayed at his place, very nice, but you cannot stay forever at, you know, until you make it. So yeah, and you know, when it's about teeth health, it is necessary, because, you know, the tombstone thing. So, but that is solved now, so there is hope. At one point I was also very worried about it, huh? And that is another thing, there are so many elements that people take for granted in their life. I always say, you know, take a very good look at take a look around you, take a little bit time and think about what you do have going on. You know, your health. I always talk about health. You know, be grateful that your fingers are working, your legs, you know, if you got them. If you don't, then there's probably other things. You gotta build a strong character. But don't fall into negativity or depression. Always think about people who had it worse or have it worse, and it also helps. There's one video, and it's an actually incredible video about how insignificant people actually are. So that is about, and I'm gonna give you a little bit how the video goes. So it's about on Earth, then you see this one human poop, that is you, and then it zooms out, and then you can see how insignificant everybody is. And it actually is about that problems are just challenges, but also you should not focus too much on them. Of course, when things are life-threatening, you know, then you have to step up the game. But you know, the rest, the majority of problems that people have, you know, they are not so important. Also, when I lost everything, and I can give you another example. Oh, am I going to do this? No, not in this video, because then, like I said, I lived a very colorful life, but you know, I'm building up the extreme situations. But okay, this vlog, let's cut it. Tomorrow 25 kilometers, looking forward to it. Also not really, but also I can feel already how it's gonna feel when I'm done with it. That is something, you know, I always try to figure out. And what is the compounding effect? There's a lot. Health, more air in the lungs, stronger bones and my muscles again. Mentally, it shapes you, you know. And then of course the work that I'm doing now on the VPS and everything has also a compounding effect. Build stronger foundation, maintaining the relationships, stronger, putting value to the table, stronger. everything growth focused, everything. Nothing is just, oh no, let's watch this latest miniseries on Netflix. No, I don't do those things. The last time that I went through a miniseries that was recommended by a person who was totally addicted to Netflix, and I was also pretty, you know, they know how to do it, you know. And the thing is, I watched the whole series. I think it was 5 series on, and so that there are, I think, 10 or something episodes in one series, and I did, oh, seasons, 5 seasons, bam, I did it in one or 2 days non-stop, so get rid of it, and after that never again, because I felt so guilty. But you know, it's also addictive. I do understand, and if you're a little bit sensitive for addiction, you know, I had a lot, then you should stay away from it. Especially what I believe, you know, what I always think, also when it's about mindless scrolling, you know, what do you want to have on your tombstone, you know, and on the graveyard? Pup scrolled his life away, watched his life away, maybe lived a life of regrets, didn't live a fulfilled life, and then people say, yeah, then what will be on yours? Well, hopefully that I can put on my gravestone. I don't know how what the real word in English is actually, but you know, in my gravestone I hope at least 100 people start working on their mobile phone, and 1% of them became his business partners. That's what I want. And maybe 1 of 2 multi-billionaires, they see the purpose and they see, well, we're gonna put some funding into that. That's what I want. So, did I answer that question? So, and with this, when I have this in mind, you know, beer drinking, smoking cigarettes, you know, in the past I used boatloads of drugs, doesn't fit in that picture. I said it yesterday also in one shorts, but what's the shorts? I'm gonna cut this vlog for today. I think I spoke enough. 47 minutes. Oh, okay, one more thing. When it's about the GoPro, I'm using GoPro. There is one thing, it's called GoPro Labs. And I'm using a couple of features of the GoPro Labs. It doesn't change anything on the current state of the GoPro, but it adds so many future features. And one of them is that your metadata of your videos and your photos contain your contact details on your name. In my case, DotcomBaron, aka DotcomBaron. And then if I lose this camera, then people can actually find me by just googling it, and everything will be on this camera, you know, how do you say it, implemented, integrated into all the content. So I think that is a very nice feature. What is another feature that I added? Again, the name is GoPro Labs. It will add a lot of features to your camera. What is the other feature that I actually added? I don't remember, but I think that was a very nice one. Anyway, stop talking, Dylan. Vlog number 100, I think 144, and that's it. And I'm going to train now, by the way. That's why I'm over here in West Park, Zapenden Park, Sofia, Bulgaria. And by the way, in this summer there was one creepy guy. Now it's getting cold again, no creepy guys. Anyway, stop talking, Dylan. I know. Ciao for now.